Hey folks, Rich from Trapping Inc. TV here, and I bet you're just like me, and the day can't start without that first cup of coffee. For me, it's Stout Maple, Old Smoke Coffee's darkest roast. Strong, aromatic, and smooth. That gets me revved up and ready for whatever the day throws at me. Old Smokes roast their coffee over wood fires, the old-fashioned way. Wood roasting takes time, much longer than modern hot air roasting. Slow roasting over wood takes the bitter out of the bean and imparts a heavenly taste and aroma from the wood used. Old Smokes makes a perfect roast for each person. There are 5 roasts from light to extra dark, each roasted over a different wood for a unique flavor. Right now you can order from their online store and use our promo code RICH, that's R-I-C-H, and get a free travel bottle on any purchase of $45 of coffee excluding the Wounded Warriors blend. Just go to oldsmokescoffee.com, that's O-L-E smokescoffee.com. Use the promo code RICH. In these trying times, everybody's trying their best to adapt. Old Smokes is changing the promo rewards every couple of weeks, but every time, from now on, use RICH for the code. RICH will be the only promo code going forward, and what the heck, it's a lot less spelling on that silly phone screen. And now, back to today's show. Hey, welcome to the Scuttlebutt Podcast. I'm Rich Mellon, and today I have a guest from the very far north. Everybody thinks that I live far north. I'm not even close to where this guy is. This fella is up in the Northwest Territories. You are at YellowKnife, aren't you, Devin?
Yep, in YellowKnife here.
YellowKnife in the Northwest Territories. Devin, before I mispronounce your last name, and I should have asked you this before we came on, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Allooloo.
Allooloo. Okay. I would have got it wrong. So tell us a little bit about you. You are a First Nation trapper. You live in YellowKnife. You have a great trapline. Let's get right into it. How old are you?
I'm 24 and I actually just started trapping 2 winters ago.
Okay, no history before?
Nope. So actually, the first trapping video I watched, it kind of sparked my interest in trapping, was your lynx trapping video, and then I went out and started trapping lynx, and then really got into trapping Marten from there. Just took off.
That's crazy. I've
Yeah,
often
so pretty much everything I've learned.
I've often told Sandy that PETA has our picture up on a post office wall somewhere, and they throw darts at us. We've brought many people back into the trapping or into it for the first time. So you live in a wondrous place when it comes to being a trapper, a hunter, a fisherman.
Right. Yeah, it's a vast amount of land we have up here for sure.
Describe to the people, what does your country look like where you trap? Is it hilly? Is it treed? Is it lakes? What is it?
We have like a touch of everything. I'd say it's quite comparable to places in Alaska for sure, minus the mountains, but we have a lot of Canadian shield, a lot of rocks, hilled areas, and tons of lakes that you can utilize to get to and from areas.
Yes, I've been north of Yellowknife hunting caribou up with True North Safaris, and the water there was just astounding. How much water there was. You were never very far from water, so that was where the ice roads and that became so important, right?
Right.
So
yeah, I used to guide up on Thunder there as well. There, not for Arctic safaris, but for Bathurst there.
Okay. So you got interested in trapping, and you decided to go all in.
Right. Yeah, just went all in. Bought a whole bunch of Marten traps, Wolverine traps. I had a knowledge of skinning just from hunting caribou and elk and moose and whatnot. But pretty much every bird handling method I got from the internet and YouTube, and how to build boxes, places to set boxes, how to identify tracks and whatnot. But
isn't that
everything
amazing?
else I pretty much just learned as I went. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing in today's world that something so traditional as trapping can be learned off something so modern as the internet?
Yeah. I think when I watched your video the following summer, I spent almost every day just looking on forums, watching videos on how to trap. I got everything ready to go, and I just did everything right the first time, and I was pretty successful.
Yeah, it does help if you have a couple shortcuts, doesn't it? I mean, everything has to be adapted to your area, your animals, that kind of stuff. But I mean, having the basics sure helps a lot. I know that uh, it has helped me with a couple of different animals that I don't run into a lot, but when I do run into it, I know the basics of what I should do or what's important, right? Like lynx could care less about steel, right? And yet
Right.
steel is so very important when it comes to wolves. They don't like it at all.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Up.
it's quite a pain too with wolverines running down the line. They hate steel. So you'll have to perfectly hide your traps if you want to be successful catching them.
Oh, really? Really? They don't.
That's yeah, I find that if they can see the trap, they won't even bother going in.
Really? So, how do you target your Wolverine? What are your most successful sets?
I'd say a milk crate. So I'd actually use a drill and a washer. Drill a milk crate into a tree, and I'd set a trap inside the box with Wolverine and two spiked spruce spikes going through the holes in the milk crate, so that when the trap sets off, it doesn't hit the bait, but also pushes the springs out over the body. But I have to make sure I put spruce boughs completely covering it, just so that the only thing that it can see is just a little piece of bait at the back of the box there.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. And how big is your trap line?
It's like 120 kilometers, but I'm constantly taking down sets if I pulled quite a few Marten out of one spot, and I'll scout out a new area just take advantage of the kind of area we have here.
Okay.
But I'd say 100 would be reasonable.
is it just one big continuous loop, or do you have smaller loops? Do you have a cabin on it?
Nope. So I'd actually just leave my house and then go on my trap line. But it is one big loop, but I have lines that branch off of that one loop, so it can take quite a bit of time if I want to go check it all in one go.
Okay, so that's a long trip. Do you get it done in one day, or does it take a couple days?
I could do it in one day. I run four strokes, which are pretty good on gas. I only burn probably 18 liters on one trip, but it would probably leaving my house to getting back to my house would take probably 7 hours.
Okay. Okay. Do you get a lot of snow there?
Oh yeah, definitely. We actually just got a big pile of snow, and the snow drifts are incredible.
Oh, what a year for wind,
um,
huh? What a year for wind. It's just crazy here. We're sitting on the 5th of April, and I've got the most snow I've had the whole year. I've got been running the skid steer trying to keep things open around around here. In some places, my snowplow ridges are up 12 feet in the air.
Seriously. Yeah, I'm getting really stuck once in a while on my bigger machines. It's quite a thing.
So, what are the animals that you have on your line?
Well, I target mostly Marten, but I have quite a few Wolverines that run down my line too. So I call them insurance boxes, because if I don't set my Wolverine traps on my Marten line, they'll take down every single box on that line. But other than Wolverines and Marten, I have quite a few wolves in the area too. That's pretty much all I bother with.
That's it. You don't target any beaver or otter or anything like that, or is there not much of?
Well, actually, we have quite a few beaver, but usually in the spring, um, late fall, that's when I'll be getting beavers for bait.
Okay.
We also have we have quite a few lynx here too, but I don't even bother with them just because of the fur prices. And my wife actually hates me bringing lynx in the house because they're always just riddled with fleas.
Really? And you don't.
Yeah,
That is so weird because I've never seen a flea on a lynx.
really. Oh, I've caught them before, and they just have thousands and thousands of fleas.
And
It's
yet
actually pretty.
around here it's a fox. Like I mean, a fox has cubic feet of fleas on it. It's just unbelievable. Fox and
Yeah, it's
ermine.
crazy.
But do your marten have fleas?
Once in a while, yeah. Like I'll catch some with maybe one or two, but they have these little smaller flea-like looking critters on them, but they're not fleas. I'm actually not sure what they are, but they bite for sure.
Oh, really? No, the only thing we worry about, well, of course, squirrels, but squirrels and weasels and fox. Oh my goodness, fox. I spray all my canids down, right? Like I mean the wolves and the coyotes and that kind of stuff. I all spray, but it's the fox and the weasel stand out head and shoulders above everybody else, and I've never seen a flea on a lynx. That's amazing.
Well, yeah, I'd have to spray them with Raid like multiple times, stick them in a garbage bag, and then I'd actually have to take a vacuum to them just to try and get rid of some of these fleas. So I was just like, you know what, I'm not a big bother anymore.
That's crazy. That is crazy. So you've had big success then with your Marten and your Wolverine.
Yeah, this year I pulled in 68 Marten and 15 Wolf.
And how long was your season?
From the 1st of November, and I pulled all my traps on the 28th of February.
Wow, that's a lot in that short time.
Yeah,
So your
well,
popul
I had good success right off.
your populate.
Sorry, I had good success right off. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Your populations are really high then.
Yeah, I'd say so for sure. Even just I ran down my line a few days ago just to check out the area, and there's still wolverines running down there.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, aren't they? They can make so many miles in a night. They just astound me.
Yeah, yeah. On my first year, there was a group of three of them, and I had maybe a 40-kilometer line. They pulled down every single Marten box I had up.
Yeah. Um, Kevin Schaub, we went up, we did a couple of different shows with him on his line that he had up at Steen River, which is just a little bit south of you, not too bad. But anyway, he said that the first winter they put up 300 Marten boxes, and he said the Wolverines destroyed them all.
Yeah, it's amazing how much work they can take down in one night.
Did you have any that were particularly brilliant?
Yeah, two of them I got this year. One, his crown was super bright yellow almost, and
Yeah.
the other one I have, I actually back from the auction this year. He had white paws.
Oh
I
wow.
love his wrist.
But did you have any like a Wolverine that was a problem that was really hard to catch? Like he gave you a run for your money kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, not so bad this year. I had maybe a dozen boxes pulled down, but other than that, I've been able to keep on top of them just by setting my insurance boxes on the line.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm.
It was kind of funny because Kevin was talking about they had one there, and I forget they had a name for it, but it was a thorn in their side for 2 or 3 years, and they finally the only way they
Oh yeah.
ended up getting him was they had a like a running pole set, and they put snares on the running pole set, and they would
Right.
they caught it on the snares on this running pole set, but they couldn't get it to go into a trap or stick its foot in a foothold or anything anymore, right?
Right. Yeah, they're very smart. Those ones.
Yeah. So as a newcomer to the whole life of trapping, what have been the biggest learning curves?
I'd say the biggest one uh, would be just to make sure you're setting traps where the animals are. Because if there's no animals in the area, you could do everything right. You could have the right box, bait, lure, trap. You're just not going to catch them. But if you scout it out quite a bit beforehand and make sure that they're in the area, and just set a whole bunch of traps, you're more likely to be successful.
Yeah, that's very true. I get all kinds of questions that people ask me, where do you set a coyote trap or whatever, and they might be in Kentucky, and it's like, how well do you know your line? Because that's what's important. It's you have to know your line and how the animals utilize that habitat, right?
I find too, like even Martin in my area, they're kind of picky. So some areas they'll want to go after fish in boxes, or some areas they'll want to go after beaver. But pretty much, like Robert Grandjean, he's his pony. I use pony once in a while as well, but I find beaver to be the safest bet.
Yeah, he uses just coney, and then he didn't the fish, and he didn't use a lure even. That was
Yeah.
that was amazing. When I was right up to the Arctic there with Ian, I couldn't believe how there was no smell in the world up there. You know, like there was just nothing. And when I lift up the seat of my machine, and of course I had some skunky lure in there. Well, it was like an explosion in the world because there was everything just so dry and cold. There was just no smell, right? But they didn't use lure either.
No, no, pretty much just well, if in the Arctic they like to use seal, which is pretty fatty and pretty smelly too. So it's phony, and anything fatty really travels um, in our areas. I find.
You don't use a lure then?
I did on my first year. I used pony oil that I made in skunk essence, but this year I didn't even have to bother. I just used uh, pony oil again, and it's really.
Oh, okay. Tell me, just on average, where do you set a marten trap? Like, I mean, of course you've got sign there, but what does that country usually look like?
Like where I'm placing the sets.
Yeah. Are
I
usually,
would say on. Oh yeah, right on portages. Like I'll set my first box right on a first portage coming off of the lake, because the scent will travel all around the lake. And then usually my trails are about 1 to 2 kilometers before you hit the next lake, and then I'll maybe set 2 or 3 more. But I find right on the water's edge is where I'm most successful.
hey, Rich here. Sandy and I are pleased to announce the launch of our exclusive community, Trapping Inc. Nation. We've created the community to connect more closely with our fans, friends, and supporters without the interference and censorship of social media companies. By making this community subscriber exclusive, we can share thoughts and ideas freely without the censored photos, shadow banning, and deplatforming of Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Trolls will be a thing of the past, as not one will spend a nickel to protest on a paid site. Here you're going to get to see the new Trapping Inc. videos months ahead of YouTube and Amazon Prime availability. New podcasts will premiere here for a week as well, and we are going to be sharing articles on trapping and guns and shooting, as well as our new TV series, Married to the Hunt. The forum is here for everyone to post on and interact. You can message us directly. Post and interact with all the other subscribers. We ask that you be respectful and helpful. This whole venture is about taking the Trapping Inc. TV community to the next level, of building a community of shared interest and interacting with you, our fans. Who knows where we can go from here? To sign up, just go to locals.com and sign up for a free account, then search for Trapping Inc. and subscribe. $3 per month is the minimum fee we can charge, and that is where we have set it. That's simple. Just go to locals.com, open a free account, and then subscribe to Trapping Inc. Help us spread the truth about our way of life and the responsible and ethical management of the wild resources. And now back to today's show. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I know Robert would travel on the rivers, but then he would always climb up onto the top of the riverbank to set his, so you're climbing up 20, 30 feet or whatever it was. It wasn't a big deal, but his idea is that the higher up he was, the more the scent would carry around.
Yeah, that's too much work for me. I like just having it right beside the trail and having.
Yeah, me too. I have a lot of boxes, a lot of sets out, and I don't usually have to take no more than 2 or 3 steps from my machine before I'm at my box.
Yeah, it's nice when you don't even have to pop up your sheet machine once in a while, which is
nice. Yeah. Yeah. So you're using what, mostly 120s, 160s? What are you using?
For Marten, I use 120s, 120 Belials, and then for Wolverines, I use Savageau or Belial 330s.
Okay. Okay. You said you got 15 Wolverine this year?
Yeah, 15.
Wow. That is a huge number of Wolverine. I think I saw on Facebook, one of them went 4X or 5X, something like that.
Yeah, almost all of them here will go 4X. Quite large up here.
So you skin them all for taxidermy then?
Yeah. All of them, and then I give them a nice wash in cold water too, because they're quite dirty.
Yeah.
Just,
You know, the first animal that ever struck me on was wolves. I caught a pack of wolves, and they were all like silvers, right? But I didn't really know they were silvers because they were just kind of a dirty color, right? And when I sent them out and got them tanned, they came back and they were like, it was like they had a light on inside them. They were just so brilliant. But the difference, even to take a picture of them and hold it up next to the picture of that I'd taken the day I caught them, you have no idea how dirty that fur is.
it's unbelievable. Some of them are just nasty. Those ones.
What are some of the interesting habits that your Wolverine have?
Um, I'd say once they get a taste of running down your line, they're definitely going to be coming back to that spot. But I find that once they get educated to a marten trap, they know how to perfectly paw out a 120, eat out the back end of the box where the screen is, and they just systematically go to the next box and do that over and over again until they're all done.
No kidding.
Pretty much their main habits. Yeah,
So they can pull that trap out of the box without getting caught.
yeah. They hit it by the spring.
No kidding, huh? They're pretty brilliant that way, aren't they?
But if they either get smacked by a 120 or it like startles them, they won't touch the rest of the boxes. They'll know they're no touch.
Do you ever catch any of them by the foot?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had two this year I caught in a 120. But I have a good system where I use a 3-inch screw and a washer, and then I screw the 120 in by the swivel, and I've never had a Wolverine escape by that.
Oh, okay. Okay. I had a Wolverine on my line once. I don't have very many Wolverine, but I had one on my line, and he tore open a couple boxes, and they were the old long style box that I had that had a bait chamber in it, right? So he just pried the lid off the bait chamber and ate them, and pretty much destroyed them. And then the third or fourth box that he went to was a open ended box, and the bait was in behind the trap. So he just shoved his paw up there, and he hung by the on the tree there for a little while before he got off. But the nail pulled out of the tree, and he took off with my trap. Well, first he went back up the tree, and he smashed the box all the heck, ate the beaver, and took off. And then he went and hit the next 2-3 in a row on my Marten traps as well. And on the last one, here was the trap that he'd ran away with hanging in the other trap, the trap that was there that he'd sprung. How he did it, I have no idea. But I felt good that he wasn't running around with a trap on him.
That's pretty funny.
So, do your Marten quit moving when it gets cold there?
Yeah, definitely. At the beginning of the year, November, once you first get that cold snap, they kind of go in starvation mode and kind of freak out and roam around. But I'd say afterwards, anytime it's cold, they're hunkered down for sure. So I have to wait until it warms up to at least -25 before I actually
Yeah,
suppose that
at about 20-25 is when our activity ends. They all go under the snow, and that's one of the things that we've discovered is that Marten loves snow. They need lots of snow, and that's where you have higher numbers of Marten, is where there's lots of snow. Are your numbers going up, or are they stable at where you're at? I mean, do you have any history on the line you're on? Like, do you know what it was like to trap before?
I know that someone did trap maybe 5 or 6 years ago on the line that I'm on, but I'd say they're pretty stable. I trapped the same area last year, and I think there's actually more this year than there was last year.
Yeah, yeah. For me, there's more Marten. Even on my home quarter, like I mean, there was Marten all. I've got a coyote bait on my home quarter here, and there was Marten all over the. It's a bush quarter, but there was Marten all over it. Normally they aren't in the wintertime, right? I mean, you're traveling back and forth with the snowmobile to
your kite bait, you notice all those tracks and everything. But this year it was just crazy the number of marten that were around, and even after the season closed down on up on the trapline on the big line, I'm seeing marten tracks everywhere, and that's good. It makes you excited about next year, doesn't it?
Yeah, seriously. I left my bait in my box. I took down the trap, left the bait in there, and when I did that run down that line, I couldn't believe how many marten tracks I saw. Every single box was just cleared out by marten.
That's cool. That is cool. So, what what do you are your marten typical brown marten, or do they have the bright throat patches? Do you get color variations? Like I'm often envious of the folks back in Newfoundland because their marten are all dark, and they get good dollars for it, right?
Right. I'd say it depends on the area for sure, but generally I'll catch maybe a dozen with the bright orange throat patches, and most of them are dark, and they're super big too. I caught 4 or 5 triple X.
Yeah,
They were all dark, but I'd say most of the time they're um, brown for sure, as they created it.
yeah. Did you have? Yeah, you sent a bunch of fur to the auction, did you?
Yeah, yeah, for her.
Have you heard anything?
Not yet, no. But I was talking to a fur buyer who bought one of my Wolverines. It went for 290 US, which is 400 Canadian.
Oh, it sold at auction, did it?
Yeah, he bought it. But I'm not too sure about my other ones. I got the first lot for Wolverine, but I'm not too sure how it sold or not. I think it was valued at 500 US.
Ooh, my gosh,
Yeah,
that's
that
good
was a
money.
high lot. Yeah, but I don't even know. So I think the fur buyers are waiting out for a life.
It was so unfortunate I mean, there was such a wave building for the auction. I mean, everybody was excited. There were so many fur buyers that we were down to just having the two auctions because there were no fur buyers, put it that way. Everything was going to auction. And when NAFA left and Fur Harvesters was the one left, well, there was a lot of excitement for it. And it was building. It was big. It was a big thing. It was exciting. And then to have this silly virus come along and crush it like that, that's terribly unfortunate.
Yeah, it's nice that trappers up here have the value for program getting advance on it, so it sells under the kind of
I, I can't hear you, man.
oh sorry. So it's nice that trappers up here have the Mackenzie Valley Fur Program. It's like a safety net, so they give us an advance on the fur that we submit, but if it sells under the advance,
Oh, okay. Yeah. You guys have like with Fur Harvesters, you have the what Mackenzie Valley stamp or something like that they put on the fur from up there.
yeah, the Mackenzie Valley Fur Program.
You want to explain that?
Sure. Yeah, so for that program, it's an incentive to get people out trapping up here to utilize the like the amazing fur that we have. So if a trapper brings in, for example, a Marten, he'll get $65 off of that. If that auction sells for a penny over $65, he'll get a $5 bonus plus that extra penny.
Right on. Right
It's
on.
also yeah, for wolves too. It's worth it for wolves because I bring in a wolf, I get $400 right away, and it all has to be done properly, right? So it has to be done for taxidermy. And if it sells for $401, I'll get a $300 bonus that plus the extra buck.
Wow. Those are the kind of money where you can make a living trapping.
Yeah, just have to be good at getting those wolves.
Yeah. Why are the wolves so high then? Why aren't Wolverine high?
It's just I think it's more of an incentive just to keep the moose and caribou numbers a little more stable because we have a ton of wolves up here.
Oh, okay, okay.
and they have a bounty on wolves north of where I am, just to keep the caribou herd a little more healthy. So the bounty on wolves up there is $1,200.
Holy, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah. So if you're good at fur too, you can clock in like $2,500 a wolf.
wow. That's good money. That is really good money. And you say you have a lot of wolves.
Yeah, yeah, we have quite a few wolves up here.
So do you trap them yourself?
Yeah. I used to last year. I snared, but I found it more effective just to lay out footholds around bait, wait until they come in and set on their trails. But yeah, I target wolves close to my house.
Oh, okay. Okay. So when you set your footholds, then you set them right in the snow of their trail.
Yeah, right on the trail. Yeah, I make sure I don't disturb it too much.
Okay.
Just make sure I'm wearing traps are all boiled up. But more than likely, they're gonna walk back on their own trail. So yeah, I found that the most effective way to get after
Okay. And you'd be near baits, like so you would have road-killed animal or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah. I have a little bait station there, or even if I have wolves running down my trap line smelling Marten boxes, I just have it on their where they're taking leaks on trees.
Yeah. Yeah. The people set. Yeah, that's very popular. Do you use a drag then, or how do you set up your trap?
I just anchor it to a big spruce or a big pine.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Do you have trap check?
Once in a while, I'd set it.
Go ahead.
What's that?
I said, just go ahead.
Sorry. I'd also set them if I'm setting on the open ice, which I also find quite effective. I'd have two big spruce trees right by the bait. I guess that is a sort of drag. You set it on the open ice where the bait is right in the middle of the lake. That really lets the scent travel.
That's cool. I'd like to see that. I never thought about setting a bait out. Like, I mean, I often will put my bait on the lake, but I don't ever have, I set my snares and everything back in the trees from the side of the lake. But you actually have traps right up there around the bait. What trap do you use?
I use a Bridger.
A 9. Okay. Okay, that's nice big trap. Do you have a trap check law? Like you have to check them every so often, or?
Yeah. So up here it's every day, but for footholds I check mine every 4 hours.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So up here you have to check them every. You have to check footholds every 72 hours, but I make sure I check mine every 24 hours.
Okay. How often do you run your line?
So that longer one,
Yeah.
the 80 to 120, I usually run it once or twice a week. But for the wolf leg holds, I run them almost every day, and I could just leave from my house and have it checked within 45 minutes.
Okay, well that's handy then. That is, isn't it? It's amazing when you try to explain to people that wolves are more often near habitation than they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I find the ones that are close to town, they're a little easier to catch too.
Well, there's just more of them is the thing. Like where I travel through agricultural areas and that to get to my trap line, and then there's probably 70 kilometers of or 45 miles of bush before you get to my trap line. Well, the wolves just about end at the edge of the agriculture. Like they will make trips through some, and usually they travel on the roads, right? They're all oil roads and that kind of stuff. They'll travel on the roads where it's easy traveling, and they'll come through once or maybe twice a winter. But I try and tell people that they prefer to be near the settlement. Like Peavine is the Peavine settlement is my southern neighbor, and Gift settlement is my eastern neighbor, and they have problems with wolves, of course, because I mean they have cattle and all that kind of stuff, and that's where the wolves prefer to be. And people just don't understand that it's a tough life to be out there in in the bush all winter long when there's no trails or anything else, right?
Mhm.
So how big of do your wolves get to be large size there?
I'd say one of the bigger ones I caught last year was 100 pounds. It would be around 80 to 100.
Yeah. That's pretty much dead on average here. I got one this year, it was 96 pounds, but it probably had 15 pounds of meat in its belly.
My father-in-law, he used to hunt wolves quite often. He would have bait in the middle of the lake, and he'd wait until they were all done eating, and then they'd just be running across the lake super full. They'd be super slow, so he'd be able to clip quite a few.
Oh, no kidding. That takes a lot of patience to.
Yeah, seriously. I think one time he pulled home 16 one time.
No kidding. Wow.
Mm.
Do you have any problems with mange or dog louse up there?
Not that I've seen yet. Nope.
Okay, good. I think our coyotes and wolves and they get the dog louse for sure. It comes from the domestic dogs, but I think the mange too is probably coming from cattle or whatever. Because I mean, cattle can get mange, and I mean Ivomet clears it up, but it's too bad. I mean, I haven't caught a good wolf or a wolf that was worth skinning now in 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work for nothing. Yeah. So one of the fascinating animals that we get asked so much questions about is the wolverine. Tell me about how big do they get there?
So weight size, I usually catch 35 to 40 pounds.
Okay, that is big, isn't it?
And almost all of them, they're around 4x.
Do you catch many females, or is that mostly males?
I'd say it's half and half.
Okay. Do you see wolverines much, like in the summertime or anything like that?
No, I think I've only seen 4 or 5 in my lifetime that was just roaming around the bush. One of those ones that I saw this winter.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's even like, how many Marten do you ever see?
I've probably seen 2 in my lifetime.
Yeah, I don't know how many thousands of kilometers. I think on snowmobiles alone, I've got 20,000 kilometers on it. I've seen 2. You just don't see them. They're amazing that way, aren't they?
Yeah, super cool. I think one of those Marten that I saw was actually just on my back porch.
Oh, really? That's amazing. So now that you're new to trapping, tell me the highs and lows of it. What's the good? What's the bad?
I think the good is when you're catching lots of fur, but definitely it takes a whole lot of time, right? Like I have a full-time job. I also run my own tourism company and 2 kids, so life definitely gets a little pissed off with spending all my time trying to get after these animals again.
You need to take the kids with you. Then you got it made. Then she'll want you to be going traveling all the time.
No, it's good though. Like I find it really satisfying to be able to take advantage of the amount of land that we have up here.
Oh yeah.
You're able to that sustainable resource, right? You're able to go in there time and time again and take the resource.
For me, and I've been doing it for 60 years of my life here, I'm always in awe of how little I know, how much there is to learn. And when you're out in nature at that time of the year, which isn't a normal time for people to be out, we're summertime boating, swimming kind of people, and to be out in that harsh weather and the snow and all that kind of stuff, it's very different, and yet that's when you learn the most about the animals, isn't it?
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I've learned so many lessons from the animals that if you listen long enough to what they're saying, you'll learn about what's important, right?
Mhm.
So
And it's super cool too, especially trying to get after them, right? Trying to craft them. You're able to kind of get on their level and realize what their habits are.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, tell me something surprising about Marten there. Like, what was something that you didn't expect for Marten, and yet it's important?
Um, I'd say just make sure that you're setting them, setting your traps where they actually are,
Yeah,
and keeping your boxes nice and juicy. Because I've had crazy amount of refusals, especially in dead of winter when it's super cold. They just don't want to go into sets with me. But weather plays a big factor.
yeah. I find we're far enough north too that things freeze dry on you, right? And so bait that you put in November, you've got to be changing out in the middle of December because it'll be dried out towards. I mean, it looks there's a big chunk there. It looks like there's still lots of meat there, but it doesn't have the lure that something fresh does, right? You'd think. I guess you're always thinking, that those animals are in dire straits and that they're really looking for that. They can't resist that chunk of meat there, but that's not true. But at all, that was the thing that surprised me was on the refusals and that was the fact that they could change their mind and not accept it if they didn't like what was going on. And you always think that they're doing so, that they're so hard up. It's such a harsh existence. But when you take a look at a moose and watch them go effortlessly through the 3-4 feet of snow, and they get frosted over top their mane and their ears and that kind of stuff, and they seem to be just as happy as can be, and yet you see them in June in fly season and they're miserable and they're abject standing in your pond trying to hide from the flies. I think they like the winter better than they do the summer. Okay, if people want to come do a trapline tour, how do they get a hold of you?
They could just look us up on our website, which is narwal.ca, or they can just give us a ring at 867-873-6443, and we'll be able to set up a trapline tour anytime from beginning of November to end of February.
Right on. And do you have specialized packages, or what's a tour like?
Yeah, so it's generally from we have 4 hour and 6 hour tours, and we're able to get out there. We leave right from the house by snowmobile, and around midpoint through the trapline, we'll stop and we'll have some traditional food like caribou soup and bannock, and stop and have some tea, and just continue on the line afterwards.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. It is amazing. Bannock is one of those very basic foods, but it is so varied from place to place to place, and they all taste good. They all taste good covered in butter, right?
Definitely. Butter and ground.
Well, Devin, I want to thank you very much for your patience. We've had enough issues today to hang a man. I tell you what, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the podcast.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad to be on it.
All right. And I'd like to thank you folks for listening in. We are trying hard to get a bunch of people here. I would think in this virus situation we're in that there'd be lots of people doing nothing that would want to do podcasts, but it's got pretty tough. But anyway, we're trying. Anyway, hopefully we'll see you down the line.